Another day, another dollar. I'm doing my first run in the Freightliner Saturday morning, August 16th, 2025. We are heading west on the ring road, Stony Trail, also known as Highway 201. I'm delivering a small 19-foot scissor lift, the one that can go up 19 feet. It's called 19 by 30, so it can go up 19 feet in the air and is 30 inches wide. Loaded up. Had to sweep my deck before, because yesterday one of the late loads was exciting pickup, which I actually delivered. It was a John Deere skid steer with an extra bucket, and you know, those are always fun to drop off, but when you pick them up, of course you have to switch the bucket, right? Because there's two buckets, they're too heavy, you cannot push them by yourself. And so what you do is you drive on the bed with the skid steer, and then you unlock the bucket and you drop it in the front of the bed, and then you back slowly and you grab the other bucket, and this one you lock, and you turn around and you back on the deck. And why you have to back? Because this way there's less chance of getting the expensive front window broken. Because if you remember, it already happened to me when I was moving a telehandler, and normally, you know, I drive on, right, just drive on, and so the front window was facing the direction of traffic, and because there's a cab, right, and telehandler is below the cab, but somehow a big rock flew over the cab, hit the window, and that window is expensive. It's one piece. It's one piece with a sunroof, and so they didn't charge me any money for this, but yeah, from that day now I'm always backing. Like, they wanted me originally, they said, "Oh, Sergey, we think you should back the machine on." And I'm like, hey, I've been moving machinery, never had a rock fly in the windshield, because the machine is on the trailer. It's one thing about the windshield on the truck, but on the trailer, but you see, stuff happens. And speaking about telehandlers, yesterday it was also an interesting pickup. They said, go to departure level of airport, International Calgary Airport, YYC. Go to departures level 2, and the machine will be near door 6. And I'm like, holy moly, do you want me to go where all the cars pick up and drop passengers? You want me to go in a Freightliner? They said, yeah, that's how we dropped it off. So I called the guy, of course, before I go there, and confirmed that this is indeed the regular road, very busy, where people drop off, where people get dropped off at the terminal doors. And so door 6, it's not a loading door, it's just the regular entry door that passengers use for one of the airlines, you know. So it's a bit scary. But the guy on the phone says, "Oh, don't worry about it. We'll bring it out, and we'll have one lane blocked off for you, so you can drive in. There's pylons." And he says, I have a guy on site who'll bring it out and help you. And so I arrived there, and sure enough, our blue telehandler sits behind safety pylons, and one lane is blocked off, and there's a sign that says door 6 is closed for construction. And there's fencing right there near door 6, and there's a bunch of equipment, and I see guys in hot hats and safety vests doing something very intense. Maybe they were fixing the sidewalk, I don't know, but lots of machinery was in that closed space. And a handsome young man comes out And he says, you want me to block the lane? I said, no, I'm fine. So I go in and in front of the machine, and the telehandler is facing, you know, my cab. And I said, I need to turn it around because they always want me to back the machine. I told them the story about the broken glass. I said, I cannot carry this facing forward, even though the airport is very close by to our shop, you know. And he says, no problem, I'll block one of the lanes for you. You know, always great when there's a guy on site, because, you know, the traffic is crazy because people are lined up entering the rental car return there. The left lane is totally filled up with cars. They're turning left into the car rental garage. But this guy blocks off, he takes the pylons, you know, super powerful weapon, the pylon, you know, and he puts the pylon in the middle of second lane and first lane. And so I was able to turn around, and people were staring at my forks, you know, because the telehandler has forks, and I'm turning around and there's people scared in that lane because I was pointing my forks at them, and they're like, holy moly, what is this guy doing, you know? I turned around, I backed the machine on. At first the guy said, oh, you're too close to the other edge. I look, and yeah, like I'm too much to this side. So I went down, you know, played with the steering, backed, and it was not perfect, but, you know, again, it was distracting to have so much traffic around, you know, and it's like go, 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 go. And so I said, okay, that's fine, you know, because on one side I probably had 1.5 feet, and on the other side I had the space was maybe 1 foot, you know, between the edge of the bed and the tires, you know, fine. So I raised the bed, put my chains on, put the strap over the forks, because each attachment has to be secured, right? And off I went. You know, I love, oh, and this guy says, when I drop my bed, he says, do you know how to operate this, or you want me to load? I said, well, if I hadn't known how to operate this, I probably wouldn't be doing this job, because I load these machines every day. Well, the most typical one is scissor lifts, which are slowly getting on my nerves because they're, you know, boring. But skid steers, excavators, you know, those mini excavators and telehandlers are so much fun, you know. I just enjoy, you know, dealing with this equipment, you know. Of course, I would prefer to drive a truck with at least 2 axles in the back, you know, like a 10-ton truck. So your bed is bigger, you can take more loads. All right, so this is my exit. And actually, I saw an ad. I went on Indeed.ca, because, you know, I keep checking just to see maybe something interesting will pop up, and there's a company that does pretty much the same thing. Well, I'm not sure what happened, but it shows the pretty high settings, 4K at 60 FPS, and the GoPro shut down, and it gave me an error message saying that the SD card cannot record with these settings. Please update your settings or put in a faster SD card. But yeah, I used 4K only once, like for shooting, I think, when I was doing shooting, then somehow it worked. But now I changed it to 1080p. Sorry guys. So anyway, just dropped off my scissor lift, you know, like the guy wanted it right on the pad in front of the garage. It's a private house, so I backed to it, and this is pretty, you know, narrow for a big truck, so I was I should have unloaded on the road, but then there's a little curb. You see, like here, there's the machine might get stuck, right? And so I put my truck like this across the road, blocking everything. But you know, it's Saturday morning, there's no traffic, it's a sleepy residential area. What's going on here? Am I in okay. Sometimes by mistake I put it in 3. Like over here there's reverse, neutral, drive, and then on the drive you can choose 3, 2, 1. Oh, and low. Wait, is that low?
At the stop
Yeah.
sign, turn right onto Arc.
But you never use them. It's always in automatic drive. But anyway, what I was saying, that I hope the camera does not shut down now. Well, 1080p 60, that's what I use all the time. So what I found was this company was looking for drivers, class 3 drivers, pretty much doing the same job, delivering equipment and machinery on a 3-axle trucks, so tandem in the back, and like much heavier trucks, 10-ton, you know. But and the pay was like $30 an hour. But then you look at the fine print, and it says Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, so basically 8-hour shift, like very lazy, you know. Occasional overtime, so no Saturday. And I figured out I would, if I went there, I make more money at this job, even though the pay per hour is slightly less, but I usually get more hours, especially in the summer. And then I work every second Saturday, just like now, you know. So we work in 2 weeks I work 11 days, right? Because every second Saturday is mine, so 5 and 1, so 11 instead of 10, so you get 1 extra day. But normally, yeah, like lately I think my next paycheck is not gonna be too great, because these past couple of weeks it's been slow, and they were letting me go home at like 3:30, you know. And there's lots of construction companies, but again, for me to try to jump into a wheel loader, I don't want to do it, because, you know, with this flatbed company, right, there's not enough hours. But construction, there's too many hours, you know. Probably 7 to 7 or 6 to 6 every Saturday. That's a bit too much.
At the light, turn right onto Oak Rise Northwest.
But here in Calgary you can definitely make, you know, 30, probably even. Man, these roads are like, I hate roads in Calgary. Like, I love the city, but the roads are so awful. Like, thanks goodness for air suspension on the seat. It still rattles you, you know. Like, whenever you see all these local roads, it's like cracks all the time, you know. Cracks plus manhole covers, usually you see recessed like 15 inches. All right, what is this? Is this 1A? Yeah. So this stupid Apple Maps, you know, like, I don't know why they always do this. So when you go in, when you drive to the location, it sends you on a one route, but when you return, it sends you on this route. So it turns out this place was real close to 201, but instead it made me take Country Hills Boulevard exit, and then I drove probably 5 kilometers on local roads. You know, you cannot trust these. Like, I just pushed go, you know, because that was the fastest. They said it was the fastest way. like Apple Map says, yeah, 24 minutes fastest route. Okay, but in a truck, you know, like why would I want to go through lights and stuff, right? You always in a big truck. Well, this is, you know, not that big, but still in a truck you try to choose a route with fewer turns and fewer lights, right? So you want to stay on the highway as long as possible with no lights. So yeah, next time I'll pay more attention to the route it's offering. I'd rather, instead of 24 minutes, I'm okay driving, let's say 26 minutes, but on a freeway, you know. Oh yeah, it's the next exit. Oh, that's where it took me. It kicked me out. I was on this 201, see Country Hills Boulevard, 700 meters. That's the exit. So that's what Apple Maps sent me to take, exit 43, and then I was going like this. Okay, we're gonna set up the cruise. In this truck, my favorite cruising speed for some reason is 95 kilometers per hour. Okay, 96, that's not good. Hold on, let's cancel, start. 95, perfect. Because at 95 it's the RPM sits at 2000, and it seems like, you know, the truck is not working too hard, and it's like, to me it's kind of like the truck likes it, you know. 2000 RPM. But I like this truck, you know, even though this is the older version of the other Freightliner we have, but this one is much faster. You know, when I drive in that one is maximum speed is lower, and also the acceleration rate is worse. Okay, I have to remember, what's the time now? 8 o'clock. Okay, I set up the alarm for 8:30 because at 9 o'clock my customer is coming to pick up Durango, right? And I don't want to make the same mistake as I did with the guy before, the last customer, where I fell asleep and he could not reach me. Yeah, that was a massive failure, and so I lost all the revenue from that trip. It was supposed to be probably close to like 500 bucks, and the rental company punished me. I paid a penalty of 150, and the way they do it is when they were paying me for the last customer, they just took out that 150 out of there, and so yeah, basically because of my mistake I lost 500, let's say, plus 150, 650. So never again. Always set the alarm, you know. And sometimes, you know, at work, when the guy's picking up the car in the morning and I'm working, you know, I'm running around loading, unloading, sometimes it's easy to forget, and so I set the alarm for 8:30. So I'm gonna send him a message with details about the car location and where the key is. So yeah, and today is a gorgeous day, plus 17, you know, perfect. You see, like I love working weekends actually, be it for this or for Uber, because there's not that much traffic, especially in the morning. And then, you know, the weather's great now, so not too hot, not too cold. But I'm definitely, so today, Saturday, it's time to go to the gym, because I was there on Thursday. So once I'm off work, I'll stop at the gym for an hour and then go home, take a shower, grab a snack, and do Uber, because this is Saturday, the best day of the week to do Uber. And also we having some kind of a country music festival, like a big event in downtown, so there can be some demand for, you know, taxi services today, like higher than normal. So I came back empty to the shop, and they gave me a new shipping order. So stop 1 is to deliver a forklift. Stop 2 is pick up a medium-size scissor lift. And stop 3 is to pick up a small scissor lift. So it's a nice run on the east side of Calgary on the 201 Stony Trail, the ring road. It's gonna take me 20 minutes. I called the guy, he was super happy to hear from me because they wanted the forklift as close to 9 a.m. as possible because they open at 9 a.m. And I said, hey, I'll be there at shortly after 9:05, but actually it shows 9:07. Okay. So forklifts are great, except they have, you know, the tires are pretty slick, like a race car, so there's hardly any tread. So sometimes it has trouble climbing the deck at the, you know, 40% angle. Again 96. So I set up where I thought it was. Oh, 95. All right, we're cooking with gas. Yeah, the weather is still great. Now we up 1 degree Celsius to plus 18. This is on the border of acceptable for my friend John in UK, whom I visited. He really doesn't like weather above plus 20. So, but this would be still okay for him. Okay, now it's plus 17. And this is the exit I take when I go home, because my apartment building is right somewhere here. But there's lots of apartment buildings, right? Lots of townhouses, lots of houses, and many of them still show damage from the hailstorm which happened in 22 or 23. Yeah, I moved here in 22, so it was in the summer, so could not be 22. Yeah, it was 23. August of 23. And by the way, today is August 16th, so I'm 2 days away from my anniversary in Canada, because I arrived in Canada, I still remember, it was August 18, 1997. So in 2 days, Monday is gonna be August 18, 2025, so which will mark my 28 years in Canada. 28. Amazing, you know, basically half of my life. So when I came here I was 35. Right, in 97 I was 35. I was a young guy. Now I'm 63. Same age as Tom Cruise, by the way. So not too old, but not too young either. So tomorrow I'm gonna do another cycling video. My friend comes from Nisku, which is a suburb of Edmonton, because he cannot afford to live in Edmonton itself. He lives in Nisku, you know. But No, I'm just kidding. It's a joke, all right? Relax. And he's bringing his bike, and we haven't decided yet on the route, but we want to do like maybe 25 kilometers one way. They stop for a break, maybe have some lunch, and then drive a ride back. But I don't know. I want to try something new, something that I didn't do before, but I really like that Pierce Park to Annie's Cafe. I posted a video about that run. That was like 25 clicks one way. It was great. But I also like the one I did from my home to Bike and Brew bike store, because it's all on bike pathways. He offered me to go on a big circle east of Calgary, but the description said it was part gravel, part dirt. I really don't want to drive on the gravel, you know. Like dirt would be okay if it's, you know, pressed in, you know, and smooth, but I prefer pavement, because his bike is a gravel bike. It has wider tires, and you have to bring down the air pressure when you ride on gravel, so that means you have to carry a pump. When you're back on the pavement, you have to inflate the tires. It just, I don't want it. I want to stay on the pavement. But anyway, that's for tomorrow. So today we are trucking, and we have another driver. So we have 3 drivers, right? So driver 3 is off, so it's my turn. So we alternate with him, and driver 1, the other driver, he said he's leaving early today. So I don't know. Usually Saturdays are not crazy busy, but sometimes they are. Or a pile driver. I carried these on my truck, monsters, you know. What is this? What brand is this? I couldn't see. Wheel loaders, skid steers. Oh yeah, and there's a trail here for where that person is walking, right? There's a bike trail, and you can actually go all around Calgary on a 100-kilometer loop, 60 miles. And this was okay, not too, you know, not too much change in altitude. It's called a rotary trail. But I already did this, but I only went as far as, I think, Pagan Trail, because that was about 23 kilometers. Yeah, you see over there. It's all paved, very nice shape. Or we can go to the other side where I never been. Like this is east side going south, right, for the trail. But there's one close to my, look at this guy. Wow, crazy. Where's the cops? That's like 140, 150. Speed limit here is 100 kilometers an hour. Cops get really excited when you 25 kilometers over. So yeah, there's a trail. The side is close to my work, going west, on the west side of Calgary. And I've never been there, but I think it's a bit hilly. It would be difficult for, you know, a single speed bike. Oh, we can go downtown. We can go, oh, maybe around the Glenmore Reservoir. There's about 15 kilometers. Nice trail. I never did that one either. It's near the water. You can see the reservoir. There's some forests there, like some woods. So we haven't decided yet. Yeah, you see, the traffic is pretty light. Okay, now my ETA is 9:08 because I'm driving slow, but you know, this is good for the truck, this is good for me. I'm paid by the hour, so the slower I drive, the more money I make. But definitely, you know, you have to meet the time, you know, requirements. So these guys want this as close to 9 as possible, and I think 9:08 is still fine. But by the time I reach there, it's gonna be probably 9:10. And there's, I mentioned this before, like these mini lakes are everywhere. There's so much water. You know, you're driving and I keep watching those ducks having fun in the water. See, like another one. Trucks on the other side. There's a double tanker, Kenworth, blue Kenworth over there, and a dump truck with a trailer. This is a Western Star with a triaxle step deck. Wood floors, love it. If I was buying a step deck again, I would never buy one with aluminum floor because it's so easy to poke holes in it. It's not even funny. Oh, another ugly Western Star. 3 axles in the back. That's a concrete trucks. Probably 35, 40 bucks an hour you can make if you drive one of these. 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, no holidays. Thank you, but no thank you. Oh, look at this, double 53 Transacts. These guys have been in existence forever. I remember there's a big yard in Guelph, Ontario. So when I was working on my AZ or Class 1 license back in 2003, 2004, and I eventually got it in 2005. I was considering these guys. So imagine, now it's 2025, and I know they operated long time before 2005. So that means that they've been working in the trucking industry definitely for probably like a quarter of a century, if not more. So somehow they survive, I don't know. But I see a lot of these old companies here, you know, companies from Ontario. Check this out, heavy haul guy, dry drive, tandem Jeep, 3XO RGM with the ramps in the back. I don't like those. It's too tricky, loading something at a 60-degree angle. Or heavy haul on the other side. Kenworth with tandem Jeep pulling a cat excavator and multiple tires on the back, I think, because it has tandem. Cannot be just 4 wheels, probably it's 8 on each axle, which is pretty popular here. I also know it's popular in California because they have some restrictions on length. They love these massive axles. Actually, they're half axles, right? Because I remember asking one of the guys that were running this trailer, I said, how do you change tires? Because there's four wheels on each side. Like, what if you have a flat tire? So you have to take off all four wheels on the side if the bad tire is in the middle. And he said no, actually they're not solid axles, they're half axles. There's a gap in between. So my exit is Glenmore Trail. Okay. So now we're having some clouds. The mountains are that way, that's west. I'm going south. Another truck is about to pass me. I see it's a Volvo. Cannot see the trailer. Next stop, Glenmore Trail, 1.8 clicks. Oh yeah, that guy has either a dry van or a reefer, but it's a 53. If it's a local trailer, if it's a local company, usually they would have 3 axles on the trailer. But if it's the one that based in Ontario and they run US, Canada, they would have a tandem. So yeah, this guy has a tandem. Let's see, is it a reefer or a dry van? A reefer. This seems to be a newer Volvo because nothing is shaking. Normally, you know, all those plastic parts, like on all the Volvos, that's why I don't like Volvo very much, because everything is getting loose after the truck breaks in, but this one is pretty much new. All those panels, they shake, you know, ready to fall off. The panels on the sides that cover the fuel tanks. Alright, cruise control off. Left lane. So we have to go this way. So Calgary is this way. This is a Rocky View County, just east of the city. So we're gonna do a loop like this, and then there's a huge industrial area over there. I think I delivered this building where I'm going. I delivered a scissor lift recently, and now they want a forklift. What's next? An excavator? Come on, guys, make up your mind, you know. What kind of machine do you want or need? Because I can only bring a forklift or an excavator, but not both. Because this truck can take roughly, because it's a single axle in the back, and on the side it tells you in kilos, it tells you the gross weight and the tare, the empty weight, and so the difference is your payload. And so for this truck, and of course I translate into pounds because I've been here so long. 28 years in 2 days, right? So I think it's like 13,500 pounds. And if this was England, remember when I was doing a video about trucking over there with John, they would be talking in tons. And when they say a ton, of course they mean a metric ton. 2,200 pounds, not 2,000 pounds, imperial ton. So very confusing. So the speed is in miles, but the weights are metric. And when they go to a petrol station, it's all in liters. It's a mix-up. See, that's an interesting ad. Says truck and trailer parking available. Like, I remember I was looking for a long time, you know, when I was in Cambridge, Ontario, to find parking at a good price for my truck and trailer and Jeep.
In 600 meters, turn left on 100th Street
And I found the place, and the lady kept increasing the price, and she was actually not very friendly. I remember once I had 2 flat tires on the Kenworth in one day, and I found a bunch of nails because the guy, one of the guys who rented space over there,
Turn left onto 100th Street Southeast, Range Road 285.
they're construction guys dealing with, you know, they had lots of wood, like panels of wood, skids of, you know, wooden skids.
On 100th Street Southeast for 1 kilometer.
And there's a bunch of nails. And so I went to this lady, I said, oh, I found like a handful of nails, and I put her on her porch because she was not home, because her house was right there.
Continue on 100th Street Southeast for 1 kilometer.
And she was normally drunk in the evenings, and she would walk around, you know, like a drunk person. And I was in my truck, and she comes over. Sergei, did you drop those nails on my doorstep? I said, yeah, I had 2 flat tires, so I thought you might know that there's a bunch of nails in here. And she looks at me like amazed, you know, and she says, well, you don't like it, you find another place. Like, what kind of attitude is that, right? Like, it's your parking space. Oh, look at that, a big bird is sitting there, bird of prey. I never know what they're called. I don't know, falcon or small eagle or kestrel. But I see lots of them on, they like light posts. And they're sitting near the road because I think they look for, you know, small animals to be run over. There's a nice golf course over here.
In 600 meters, turn right on Heatherwood Place.
Oh, a road rat. Get insurance. Pay the road tax.
Turn right onto Heatherwood Place, then you will arrive at your destination.
Okay, I think it's this building. Okay, hold on. Well, I'm unloading the truck. I'm unloading the forklift. And the guy with the container is trying to go around the corner, and he's having some issues because it's pretty tight. And I'm guessing that's what they need the forklift for. Another happy customer. Yeah, so there's the corner, the gate over there, and the poor guy, that container truck, he had to go forward because he could make this left turn. And so he went forward and he was backing, and he really had difficult time turning left because there's a hydrant over there. You see there's 2 big rocks so that people don't hit it. But he was turning from the driver's side, which should not be too difficult, and there's a lot of space. See, he's lucky that there's no cars parked over here. He should have just went closer to this building. Instead, he was trying to do a sharp turn, and of course then his truck was going into the fence, you know, and the rear of the truck was going towards the hydrant. It's like a very tricky situation, you know, where if you turn too much, then you don't have enough room to recover, you know, from the turn, because your truck, the front of your truck will be here. So lots of mosquitoes over here. Man, I just killed one away. There's a dead body lying right there. All right, so now I'm heading over to my pickup, picking up a scissor lift, and I think I delivered this one actually. So I don't remember the exact location, but I should be able to remember once I get closer. So it's somewhere near downtown, a mid-size scissor. So the one on the front sleeper truck with a very short, kind of like a step deck trailer, and I see he has a winch, and it says local and long distance hauling. And of course D stands for oversized. Technically you're supposed to remove these signs when you don't have a load. So that's also an equipment rental company. But I talked to our bosses. I said, why don't we get like a bigger truck or maybe a trailer? And they said, not enough space. Because yeah, whenever we have, you know, occasionally we have deliveries where people come in with a 53-foot dry van. That's it. They take 70% of the yard, and basically life is paralyzed. Yeah, so but for me it would be better, of course, well, not with the trailer, but what I would really like is, yeah, a heavier truck, same type. You know, I enjoy working with these tilt and load flatbeds, or as they call them in the States, rollback. We call them tilt and load, I don't know. Very convenient for equipment delivery. Oh, and then of course they have roll-off trucks, right? And I asked again our bosses, I said, why don't we have a roll-off truck? Because those are a bit easier to load, since, you know, the bed goes completely flat on the ground behind the truck. But they said the same reason, we don't have enough space, because of a roll-off truck would take twice as much space, well, almost twice as much as my truck, because usually it would be tandem axle, right, for heavier stuff, and a longer bed, a longer wheelbase, and then the bed goes entirely off the truck. So you have the length of the truck plus the length of the bed. So they said no. But yeah, roll-off, I like them. It's like same setup as what they use for, you know, garbage trucks. Instead of a container, they make a custom bed, usually all metal, and the guy just drops it. He has like these rails, right, and the bed slides down and on the trailer, and he has a big winch connected to the front, and that's how he picks it up. But I mean, this means that the deck is flat, so it's so much easier to load, you know, let's say the same forklift, scissor lift, you know.
Turn left onto 36th Street Northeast.
Oh, left, sorry, my bad. Because yeah, that one is going to the shopping center. But yeah, so that would be nice, you know. It says with this truck, whenever it rains or snows, I have to use the winch. Like hardly any machine except articulated boom lift. Like anything with rough terrain tires climbs on, like on the bed, fine. But the scissor lifts, they have these slick tires. Even forklifts, you know, if the deck is wet or covered with snow, that's it. So you have to, you know, unwind the winch. Look at these guys. Like, if we have green and they're still here, that means that they were crossing on the red. And this is a Pacific Place, a very nice shopping center. They have this TNT Chinese supermarket. They have a nice deli, but it's very expensive. I once stayed here and went in, and it's like 25 bucks Just for a lunch? No, thank you. And this is, you guys probably remember what this is. East Side Dodge. That's where I sold my Dodge Charger and traded in for a Hellcat. And then I came here and I traded in the Hellcat for the Jeep Compass. But now I have a, because this was the closest dealer, which is like 20 kilometers from my home. So this was the closest Chrysler dealer to me. But then a couple of years ago they opened Country Hills Chrysler, which is way closer, and so now I take all my business there. Yeah, I delivered this for sure. I remember I was here. Oh yeah, it's where they have the college. There's a college place. Yeah, okay. Usually that's what happens, you know. At first I don't remember the exact location, but when I get closer I recollect exactly. So it's this building here, and you go to the back, and for some reason quite a few people here, they use our services. And last time I was delivering, I thought it was the same as the previous delivery. Oh, look at this. That's my Jeep, except no hail damage. I want to steal a hood from that one. So there's going to be a plan.
Turn right.
And I already see our scissor lift on the right there. The blue machine says Genie. Alright, let's get set up and load this son of a gun and go to stop number 3. So what I do is there's a tie down thing in there, like an eye, but it's square, and then I have this hole in the center, so that's the center of my bed. So I always try to align this part where I'm gonna attach a chain with that circle, and that means that the machine will be perfectly positioned. But sometimes they have trouble. See, like now, doesn't want to climb. Okay, hold on. I have to tilt the bed. Perfect. I can now switch to low speed. And that thing, that kind of cylinder or that trough where the cable is, that's my center. And actually I can see that I'm not perfectly centered, because this plate with the winches, all right, now it's pretty much good. All right, so now we can move the thing forward and hope that that cable does not fall off to the side, as it sometimes does, because it has to stay in that trough. Oh, now it's perfect. And now I can get down and tie it up, and then we go to stop 3. That's good enough. See, those are the tires. They do have some tread on them, but it's very, very shallow. And this is the counterweight. And there's a motor on one. Oh, each wheel has its own. No, on the other side. Two of the front wheels, they have their own motor run by electric battery.